everyone. Welcome to No MAAM, the podcast where we talk shit and throw a little bit of shade at everything and everyone. We'll have you saying no ma'am in no time. I'm your host, Willy Will, and this is my co-host.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of No Ma'am.
Yay, Jhoany, you got it right. Normally you don't really get it right all the time, and you only have like 3 words to
First
say.
of all, it only happened like twice, maybe 3 times. We're way past that. I know what I'm doing now.
Okay, good. Well, Jhoany, today is a very exciting episode, and if you're watching this on YouTube, then you may notice that we have a guest. And so he's not only a friend of No Man Podcast, but he's also the face of He's My Girl podcast. Is none other than Stephen Peters. So hi, Stephen. Welcome to the group chat.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I've been looking forward to this all day.
We have been looking forward to it like all guests.
Earlier today when I texted you, I was like, hey, we might need to delay it. And you were like, well, we can reschedule. I was like, no. I want to get it done like ASAP.
No, I'm so glad. I'm looking very forward to talking with you guys.
Yes, us too. So thank you for coming, Stephen. I mean, it's exciting. This is our first collaboration ever. So,
Oh, really? Wait, you've never had a guest on before?
No, we've been planning it for a while now, but because of my work schedule, it can be kind of hectic, so it's a little difficult to plan out. So this is the first one to really come to fruition. So I'm really excited.
Wow.
So if there's anything,
oh my gosh, I'm honored.
We apologize in advance.
No, it's a lot. I have guests on every now and then. It's a lot to like collaborate and keep the conversation and interview. It's a lot. So, but I'm so excited. I'm so honored to be your first. It's awesome.
Well, thank you, Stephen. So we play a game.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's only fair that we play our signature game here at No Ma'am, this or that. And the rules are pretty simple. All you have to do is you decide between 2 different options and just kind of let us know why you decided that option.
Okay.
All right. So are you ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Perfect. So these questions. Usually we'll do like very shady ones, like very funny ones. We decided to go with a little more like.
Okay. Ooh. So it's funny. If you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said partner less money, and now I'm saying money less partner. To be honest with you, but that comes with like there's layers to that because I feel like I was so dependent on somebody 5 years ago, whereas today, like I actually love my alone time. I love having a partner too. Like I'm a lover. I love. But what I love more is like myself. And do you know what I mean? Like I just want to be by myself more now than I would have at 25 or 26 years old. Like I'm 33 now, so I don't want to be with somebody 24/7. So I'm sure I'm pissing off somebody by saying that, but like I'd rather see you once a week and have a lot of money. You're out. I know. It's too much. It can be too much. Relationships are a lot, you know?
Yes. I like money. As you can see from all these hats behind me. I like to shop. So
Sure.
yeah. And I'm kind of selfish. And I also have intimacy issues. So that's probably why I would always get the money because money can't talk back to me. And I can just like spend it if I want it.
And there's just nothing better than having your own, like having your own account, your own money. And then like if somebody comes along, great, you know, like I'm looking at it now in such a different lens of being more like, if you're in my life, amazing. If you're not, great. Like it's not, I'm kind of like take it or leave it. If it works out, it does. And if it doesn't, we're okay.
Right. And I mean, my money is my money and his money is my money.
100%.
So like, I just think people just need to realize that. So just
100%. Wait, can you repeat it? It cut out for me. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Would I rather lose all the pictures I've taken or all my... I'd rather probably... That's a tough one. I'd probably lose... I don't know. I have some pretty good pictures, so I would probably say valuables. Yeah, I would stick with valuables. I think, you know, I have pictures from like... I mean, my phone, I don't know what the standard amount you're supposed to have on your phone. I have like, I checked on the plane a few days ago. I have like over 18,000, which is insane. Isn't that is a lot. Okay, good. I didn't know what most people have. Like, I didn't know if that's like low, if that's high, if that's average. You think you have how many? It's high. Okay, yeah. So I'm like, so I guess I am a picture person. So yeah, I guess I would definitely, I'd be sad without my pictures.
Oh my God, I don't even have that many pictures. No, I don't. I think I have like 900 photos in my phone.
Well, that's wild. Good for you. Yeah. Of course. I agree. Yeah. I'm gonna stick with the pictures. I think I want to keep the pictures.
I guess I'm the black sheep of this conversation right now because I only have like 900 photos in my phone.
Right. So it's like nothing. Yeah.
I don't.
My gosh, you guys are really coming at me with the questions. Like, this is so good. It's really making me think. Can you repeat it one more time just so I can play it in my head? Probably famous while I was alive. I think that I'd rather that and then be forgotten than, because I just feel like, you know why though? Because in today's world, like things are forgotten 2 weeks later. So it's like, it's going to happen regardless. I mean, of course, you know, aside from like a Britney Spears or whatever, like people who come in and out, especially within like the influencer, like it's all just like coming in waves regardless. So if it's going to happen, I'd rather it happen and then kind of fall into the pack of unforgotten afterwards, I guess, if that makes sense. That's true. Honestly, much better answer. We're gonna go with yours. No, that's true. Like you leave a mark and then like for centuries to come, like people remember it. I like that. I'm gonna change my answer.
No, I think I'm the opposite. I would rather like, I don't know, I'd rather be like unknown and then really famous when I die. I don't know, I feel like if I'm dead and people know me, then I'm like living on in like infamy. And
That's
so
true.
like that's pretty cool for me, right? I don't
That
really
is.
care that people like know me when I'm here. Like, cause if you come up to me like, oh my God, I follow you, I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, I changed my answer. I think that the latter is better. I think that's a better answer. My gosh. I would rather lose all my old memories or not. I probably would not. That's a really, you guys are, I mean, I'm blown. I really am. Part of me says, let me forget the old memories, but I feel like it's such a cheesy answer, but everything has happened for a reason. Like literally every part of my life, every time I look back at a breakup or a job loss or whatever has happened, or it truly has led me to where I am right now. So I feel like without those, I wouldn't even know who I am. But I'm so thirsty and excited for the future. That's a toughie. I'm gonna have to plead the fifth on that because I don't know which one I would rather. What about you guys?
Yeah, and I think for me, what I would, it's the same, right? Like I wouldn't want to lose my old memories because they made me who I am.
Right.
I'm the person I am today because of what I went through in my past. And so I would just prefer not to make any new ones if I had to choose. But I don't think I would be able to choose either one. So I think I'm with you. I'll plead the fifth.
Yeah, I think that's better. Oh no.
He does it all the time. He drops in and out. I told you he doesn't pay the bill. It is what it is. It literally happens to us all the time.
No.
All the time. And so all I do is I'll just edit him in after like in post.
Like cut
and
it. Okay.
Literally happens all the time.
Okay,
So
good. Okay, no, good.
I kind of figured when he started breaking up, I was like, I'm gonna lose Jhoany.
I
That's why it literally does
know.
not even faze me
Okay,
at
good. You're
all.
used to it. Okay, good.
So my questions are a little bit more of the funny ones.
Okay.
Right? So I gave Jhoany a little bit of the serious ones, and I'm gonna say one of the funny ones. So
Okay.
this first one may be a little controversial, and it is: would you rather be handsome but stupid, or intelligent and ugly?
Intelligent and ugly, no question. I think it's like crazy to me when people, and again, some people, I hear myself speak sometimes and I'm like, somebody's rolling their eyes because they don't believe me, but I'm 1,000% when I say, like, if you can't hold a conversation, it's literally does not matter how good looking you are. It does not matter at all. And what kills me is, you know, going to the bars. Where are you guys located? New York?
Yes, we're in the Bronx.
Oh, in the Bronx. We're in the Bronx.
Yes. So I live in Parkchester.
Okay.
And I'm on the six, like Jennifer Lopez.
Okay.
Well, like old J Lo, not like
Yeah.
new J Lo, because she's totally disconnected. Jhoany is in Riverdale.
I work in Riverdale. That's so funny. Okay, cool. That's so funny. Yeah. So I thought so. I was like, I'm pretty sure they're in New York. So, you know, going to the bars, I'm in Hell's Kitchen, which I can't even get into right now. I hate it so much. But, you know, going to the bars and stuff, people will be like, oh my God, you're so hot. And I'm like, that's fine. And I appreciate, like, that's fine when people say it, right? But it actually drives me fucking bananas because I'm like, you haven't asked my name. You have no idea what I do for a living. You have no idea if I'm an asshole or not. Like, you've really gotten nothing out of me except the fact that you think I'm attractive because I have a beard. Like, that is crazy to me. So when people say that, I'm like, well, why don't you at least try to have a conversation? Like, so I would 1000% rather be intellectual, able to hold a conversation, able to make a connection with somebody than just be like, you're hot, I'm hot, let's make out. Like, that drives me bananas. I could go on about that forever. And I actually talk about it a lot in my content because I'm like, it literally doesn't matter. And it's, again, flattering. Sure, leave a comment and say how great people look in general. That's fine. Like, and it's nice. Like, it's not a bad thing to hear from people, right? Like, when you hear that you're attractive, it's fine. But what's deeper is like getting to know someone, knowing their backstory, knowing what they're trying to do for their life, knowing their passions. That stuff like gets me off. I'd rather talk about that all day than like how many times you go to the gym a week.
Correct. I'm with you. I think that's kind of like what, like in our community in particular, we have an issue with, right? We have a really bad problem with face value and just like the physicality. That's it.
100%.
And so if you look attractive to someone, and especially in the bars, right? Like, don't go to Chelsea, don't go to Hell's Kitchen, and that's kind of what you're going to see all the time.
It's so true. Yes.
And so I think it's really interesting because if you think of like your Black Sheep episode, right? You kind of like talked about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I won't go more into detail like later on, but I think it's really important to like bring that up, right? Because sometimes you do feel a little different, and it makes you feel like, is there something wrong with me?
So true.
And so I'm with
Yep.
you because I'd rather have an intelligent conversation any day,
Any day.
than to talk about like nothing. Like
No.
let's kiss, or let's make out. Like that
It's I
shit pisses
can't
me
do it.
off.
Yep, me too. You're my people. Me too.
All right. So would you rather only be able to teleport anywhere, or would you want to be able to read minds?
Probably read minds. I'm nosy as fuck. Like I want to know everything, you know, like especially like when I'm with someone or dating somebody, I'm like, no, you're going to tell me what's really wrong, or you're going to tell me what I did to piss you off, whatever. Like I would probably want to know what you're thinking, or even like people that I'm friends. I'm like, what do you really think about me? I'm just nosy though. What about you?
Yeah, no, I would read minds. I just think one, like I obviously took psychology in college, and so like I kind of like study body language, and I kind of know why people do what they do sometimes. So in my head, I'm just like, you're crazy, so I'm gonna stay away from you, and that's why we're doing this, and I'm not messing with you. So I would think it's really interesting to see what people like what other people think, because I know the thoughts that go on my head sometimes, and
Me
I'm just
too.
like wild.
No, me too. I'm like, damn, if I'm thinking this, what are they thinking? You know?
Right. So I'm like, I don't know. That made me regretting the fact that I chose to like read other people's minds
Right.
after maybe reading like a few of them. Like, oh
Yep.
gosh, what did I get myself into right now?
It's so true.
Would you rather be always too hot or too cold?
I would rather be too cold. I am my body temperature and heat is insane. Like it's really crazy. I can't. I'm always hot, always like in bed, even at night. Now it's obviously getting cold in New York, and I'll have like they turn on the heater obviously in our building. My air is still on like 66 because like I need like I'm just so hot 24/7. What about you?
I'm opposite.
Are you?
I'd rather be too hot than too cold. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot be too cold. If I am cold, I am the worst person. Like my attitude is so bad.
And
I
I
was
say
in
that too because I'm like, now it's getting cold and I'm like, I'm a bitch 24/7. But then when it's like mid-July in New York and I'm like drenched and it's 102 outside, I'm like, I'd rather die. Like, this is terrible. So I really don't know. But if I had to pick, I would rather be too cold.
Yeah, I was in Philly for work last week,
Uh-huh.
and like as soon as I stepped into the hotel room, it's freezing. And I'm like, who the hell was in here prior to me? I had to like turn the heat on, then go downstairs, like get a drink, wait for the room to heat back up, and then go back in there.
Really? Oh,
I
see, I
was
would have
so
loved it.
pissed.
I would have loved it. Nothing's better than to me like a cold hotel room to get into bed. Oh my God, the best.
No, I'm like, what is this? Like, this is the worst thing for me. I was so pissed. I was
Oh
like, who left
no.
this on like 65? Like, this
Oh my
is
God,
not
a
okay.
dream. I would love it. I'm only happy if ice cubes are like coming out of my ears. I'm telling you, it's terrible.
Cannot. And so, would you rather receive a love letter or a sexy text?
Ooh, probably the love letter. Although I will say the sexy text like is kind of fun to like spice it up. I'm not like the biggest sexter. Like I don't want to like sex 24/7. But out of nowhere, just like getting that is kind of a rush. But I think the love letter, it's just that'll last longer. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I can
Yeah,
see that.
yeah.
I like a sexy text. I think a sexy text is so like to me. I think it's so much fun
Yes,
because one, it's like awkward. It's like, what are we doing right now?
so
Like, what
true.
is this? And then you never know how to respond back. Like, what should I do? Like, do I like sex back? Do
Yeah.
I like give an emoji? Like, what do I do?
Okay, so that's loaded though. So I'm like ish talking to somebody, right? And so I did this. This just happened like 3 or 4 days ago, and he's actually, well, I'm not gonna say where he lives because I don't want to, but he's not in New York. And so with distance, of course, comes those moments of like having to do things like that just to like keep it going, right? And I sent a little bit of a sexy text, and all he did was heart it. Isn't that awful? I was
Yes.
so mad. I'm like, you can't even like send an emoji. I was so pissed.
I'm like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like when you give when you're sexting and they just give you emojis, it's always like, what is happening? Like,
Right.
do you get emoji? Do you like the post? Like, do you
Yeah,
like it? And if you like it, does that mean that you agree with it? I don't know. So
I
that's why I'm like,
know.
it's always awkward.
I agree.
Well, welcome back, Jhoany. I'm happy that you paid your bill.
So I just switched devices.
You do look, you're like clear now. It wasn't clear on my end.
I think it's the laptop because that's the same device I was using last time I had issues. I just switched to an iPad and it's working fine.
It's not. It's not.
And it's the same Wi-Fi connection, so
It's
I
not.
don't know what's going on.
It's Jhoany. It's not. It's just Riverside.
It happens.
And it really is. I don't know what, it always happens to him. Always. And so we're always just like, that's when I get my like shady bits going on. It's like when I drag him when his internet connection like falls out. And it's the funniest thing. It's literally the funniest part of the podcast.
I love
Every
it.
time
It's only happened once. It's only happened once before this.
It really did in mid conversation. And I had to pull, hi everyone. This may look a little different to you, but
right.
it's just me. So
yeah.
All right. So now, because Jhoany does not understand like Bravo, like so these questions may go over his head.
Okay.
That's a little shade because I'm always shading him because he has no idea.
Crazy.
So,
good for you.
I know who Andy Cohen is, but that's about it.
Yeah. There you go. Well, at least you know something.
True. So this is a summer house question.
Okay.
It's maybe a little controversial too, though. Lindsay or Carl?
Oh my God. Okay. So first of all, I don't know how much you guys believe in horoscope, but I'm a Libra, and Libras are known to be the most indecisive people you'll ever meet. So most of my answers are going to be both sides because I truly can see both sides. Now, when this all started with Lindsay, and I'm sorry, this is all going to go over your head, but with Lindsay and Carl, I used to think Lindsay was batshit. Like I was like, this woman is unhinged. She's crazy. She's great for TV, but she's crazy. And so for most of it, I was always on her side. When the trailer came out, I was like, she's showing her colors, shocker, she's popping off, and she's a horrible girlfriend. That's not news, right? Then I watched the season, and then I was like, okay, no, like he had like I was fully on her side 100% towards the end. Bottom line is they're just not meant to be together. Like I think that's what we gathered from the entire situation is like you two are actually like so not compatible and so not to be together. So I actually like both of them. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I'm actually in talks to have Carl on He's My Girl soon, which would be great. I'm sure if he's heard some of the things I've said, he's probably not thrilled, but it's because as a woman of a particular age who was dealing with him and his sobriety and all these things and stuck by him for all those years, like I was kind of team Lindsay. I'm still so happy for her regardless. I think it's great that like it all worked out, but I think it all worked out because the relationship ended. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not ironic that like the minute you guys break up, you meet the love of your life and now you're pregnant. Like that's literally all you wanted. So I think the universe was like testing her there. And the bottom line is, I guess I'm more team Lindsay, but I think that the answer is that they both just aren't meant to be together. I really don't think so.
Actually, honestly, I really thought you was gonna pick like Carl because like I'm sure people tell you all the time that you look like Carl.
I get it all the time. I do.
So like I'm like
I do.
I would assume that you would have picked Carl, but I get your perspective on Lindsay. Mm-hmm. I just think they were both really toxic for each other.
Very.
And you know how sometimes when two friends they want to make this work, but they will just it will go all of the bad signs, like the red signs, the red flags, will go over unnoticed because they don't want to realize that they cannot make this work.
Yeah, and I feel for her in a way because I am very I used to be. I used to really want to like I would die on that hill. I'm like, they're my partner, they're my person. I don't care what happens. Like I'm here for them. And that's kind of like the energy she was giving was like, no matter what, like he could, go on a bender tonight and tomorrow I'll be like by his side no matter what. And I get that. And I get that you just so desperately want it to work. But again, there's no way she filmed that whole season without that gut feeling of like, I really should not marry this man. Like this is not who I'm supposed to marry, So I think I'm glad that it all worked out for both parties.
All right. And my last Bravo question, and it's because the season is filming now.
Okay.
Is old Roni or new Roni?
Old. I can't take this shit. So here's the thing. I was very much like with the last season of the old cast, I remember being like, something's gotta give. Like we can't do this anymore. The political of it all and the bottom line is like Ramona Singer is never going to Harlem and Ebony was never really hanging out with the Upper East Siders. Like that's just the truth, right? Like we can all just pretend like we're not saying it, but that is the truth. Do I think that they needed to clean sweep the whole cast? No. And I think that's where they fucked up. Like I think that with any of these franchise, with Housewives in particular, clean sweeping just isn't like they're about to do that with Vanderpump. Vanderpump, I can kind of understand it because none of them work at that restaurant anymore. There's no connection anymore to the show. I think they should have just canceled and been like, we did a great job. We did 11 years. What more could you want? Like, I think sometimes Bravo doesn't know when to just like let go and let God, like we're good. We did it.
Mm-hmm.
But with the housewives in particular, I think that you always need one or two that are like grounding the show. So they're about to, do this with Jersey. I'm like, don't sweep that cast. You need to at least bring back one of them, because look what's going on with Roni. I think the new Roni is terrible. I think it's unwatchable. I'm so bummed because now I'm a New Yorker and I was so looking forward to being like, I go there. I've seen that restaurant. Da da da. I watched the first 3 episodes of the season and I'm like, I can't do it. And then I saw clips. I actually haven't even seen the. Have you been watching this season?
No, I can't watch
this
season.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So, but I'm sure you're familiar that with the whole Rebecca pregnancy, like rumor or whatever.
Yep.
That was so moronic to me. Like, I just can't even get on. I can't even talk about it. You guys had this whole trailer to play out this massive blow up thing, and it was fake. And it's proof that these women do not speak to each other off camera. They're not,
and they're not friends.
Yet everything happens off camera. Like literally everything you guys talk about is like, well, 2 months ago off camera, I'm over it. I think they should have at least brought like Luann or maybe even like a face from before, like Carol or somebody on that has been around this group of girls, and then plugged in 3 or 4 new people. But like, this cast is terrible, and I think Bravo's heard it. There's no way they haven't heard it. It's all over social media.
Yeah.
I would beg for OG back. I mean, tomorrow.
Yes. No, I mean, in terms of like the new Roni, I like that it feels like New York. Right, of that.
Not to cut you off, I love that. That is one thing that they were lacking. The 7 white girls on the Upper East Side does not define New York City. So I do agree with that. It desperately needed some. I want to stand by that, because 1000%. It needed a shakeup, and it needed to really represent New York. We did need someone from Brooklyn. We did need somebody from Queen, like whatever. But this is, sorry, keep going. But I just want to say I agree with you 1000%.
I love that it feels like New York, right? Yes. So like if I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I've been there. Like I eat there.
Yep. Even the style, like even how they dress, like they look more New York than these other 7 girls. 100%.
What I don't like is that everything happens off camera, and it's like, so what's the point of the TV show if everything happens off camera?
I agree. What are your thoughts on Bren? I'm just curious.
So season 1 loved Bren.
Me too.
I don't know what happened to Bren this season. I'm so confused. So confused.
No, me too.
I don't know who this lady is.
Me either. I don't
know who this lady is.
And I really liked her. She was very refreshing. I liked her story. The single girl, almost like the Bethany, just kind of like really didn't have a place, whatever. And this season, at least from what I've seen, I'm like, you're unbearable.
Yes. But I'm obsessed with Jenna Lyons.
Love Jenna. And I like the new girl, Raquel, and her. I love that story. I think she's great. There's a few of them that I'm actually into, and I think that they bring a great thing. I just don't think collectively it's not a good cast.
Yeah. All right. Well, to bring Jhoany back in the conversation, because Steve and I can talk about Bravo all day.
We could.
So, like, what made you decide to create He's My Girl podcast?
Yeah. So I, at the time it was the end of 2022, and I was in the middle of my master's program. I really didn't have much time, but I have my undergrad is in communications. I love talking. I love doing what we're doing right now. Just like, yes, it's an interview, but like also just having conversation and getting to know somebody. Relative to what you guys were saying earlier, I didn't know of many other gay platforms or podcasts or social media accounts or whatever that I could really relate to. And at the time I was really obsessed with Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper. I thought like what she was doing for, a large percentage of her audience is women, of course, gay guys, and I'm sure straight guys listen as well. Yeah. But like, I kind of wanted to mirror that. Like I was like, well, we need that for the gay community. Somebody who's like saying what everyone's thinking, having random people on. And that's kind of been what I've wanted to do. And so when I first started, it was a little more, I thought that like shock value was what we needed. So it was a ton of like my personal stories and what I'm doing and sex and dating and all this stuff. And that all still stands. I mean, I'm very transparent about my dating history. I'm very transparent about failed relationships and all those things, but also like giving somebody else the mic. I love, again, doing what we're doing where I bring somebody on and I'm like, you're in an open relationship. Can you tell me about that? Because I would never do in an open relationship, and I'm not judging anybody. It's just not my cup of tea, but tell me how it works for you. Or you just came out of the closet a year ago. I came out when I was 15. So like most of my, all of my adult life and most of my younger life is out of the closet. What's it like coming out 12 months ago where you're just discovering yourself and you've gone to a gay bar for the first time? Like I love having those types of conversations. So with He's My Girl, I wanted to do that, and I love doing it. It's great.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, obviously I caught on into the play of words because Call Her Daddy by like Alex Cooper. I mean, like,
Yep.
who doesn't know that podcast, right?
Right.
It's probably one of the most popular podcasts that we have out
Yeah,
there.
she's great.
And like, she's a self-starter. Like, she does a damn thing.
She does it.
Her Kamala Harris interview, I was like, this is a great like conversation. Like,
Incredible.
someone needs to be talking about this conversation.
Incredible.
And so I think for us, right, similar to where you said, for Jhoany and I, it was we created No Ma'am because it was like we have true friends. And yeah, we watch Drag Race. Yeah, we have like everybody, we're gay, and we have a lot of opinions about who should have won, like who can't win, and all this other stuff. But there was no one who looked like us to speak to stories or speak to our point of view and our perspective. And I think it was really important for us, just for representation, to just get out there and just say, just fuck it, let's just do it.
100%.
And then we're two friends. So obviously it's like we're two best friends. It makes sense. It works. It's super easy for us because these are like conversations we have every single day.
It is. And it's so nice to have somebody to bounce back off of, you know, like when I do my solo, like I do love doing it by myself. I love having the control of the whole IP and doing my own thing and whatever. I think that's great, but there are days where it's nice. And again, I do have, you know, I'd say it's 50-50 with interview based and having people on as well as guests. But when you're by yourself, it's so like my episode that came out yesterday, it was like a 45-minute episode, just talking to yourself. Like you're just talking, you know, and so having that banter, especially with somebody being so close to you, it's incredible for something like this.
Yeah. I mean, well, speaking about an episode in which you were just talking to yourself, right? Like literally, it's probably, I would say, your most like polarizing episode to date. And well, that's great that you agree because I put that in my notes. I was like, it's probably the most polarizing episode.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I mean, like, hopefully when I say this, he's not like, no, I had a different one. I'm like,
oh no,
God, it's the Black Sheep episode. And so what I love about this episode in particular is that sometimes, and just for me and my like own experiences, I always feel like I'm the other person. Like everyone is over here and everyone is like in agreement to this, right? Whether it be like party and play, right? Or just like open relationships or just going out all the time. And I'm always the one that's like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
And it always makes me feel, well, used to make me feel, not so much. As I've gotten older, I'm like, I've accepted the fact that this is me. And so it really can't change me. But like, what made you really decide to create that episode?
So it's really crazy, and I've actually never told anybody this, but I started writing a book about like 5 or 6 years ago. Never published it. I don't even think I got past like a chapter 3 or 4. Like I really was just like a free write session that turned into something that I was like, you know, one day maybe I'll share this. And it was titled, the book was originally titled I Hate Being Gay. That was what because I thought shock value, what's going to take.
Right.
Now, in clarity, I love being gay. I have no problem being a gay man. I you know what, I live in Hell's Kitchen. What more do you want? You know what I mean? But I struggle all the time with feeling left out because I don't go to circuit parties every Saturday. I constantly feel that I do not look good enough, that I am not social enough. Am I sometimes too masc? Am I sometimes too femme? Am I not, you know, going to the bars enough on a random Friday night to appease everyone else? I don't even really like drinking. Now I'm getting wasted just to like make everyone. These are like constant thoughts that I feel like everybody has to experience. There's no way it's just me. It's no way it's just 2 other people that I know. Like it has to be a major thing within the gay community. Again, I'm not judging anybody. I could never have an open. I'm a very monogamous person. I cannot imagine my person getting off the couch on a Friday night and going to meet somebody off Grindr. That's just something I could never deal with. And with all of these things, I felt black sheep. I was like, I put myself in these situations because it gets lonely. You don't want to be by yourself. You want to still have a group of friends. But when you go out with those friends and, you know, again, they're doing all these extracurricular things that like I don't want to do anymore. I've lived 10 years plus as a party boy. Like I'm kind of over it now. And so I typed all this stuff out years ago and I actually discovered it in my Google Drive probably a month ago. And I was like, why don't I just make an episode about this? I'm just going to talk about it. I now have a podcast. I might as well say it. And so I basically, you know, I basically said everything that I had typed in those 3 chapters and it went out. And I remember being so nervous because as you said, it kind of is polarizing. I mean, I've got a lot of feedback. I'd say 80% was like, thank you. Mm-hmm. This is what a lot of people think and feel and say and whatever. And of course you get that 20%, 30% that are like, fuck you. You're such a snob. You're such a bitch. Like I listened to the podcast. Like, how dare you? And that's fine, right? Like I'm sure you guys get it. Like that's having a podcast. Like not everybody's going to agree with you. That's part of being on social media as an influencer. Not everyone's gonna love what you say, but the reality is like those are my feelings. Everything I said on that mic during that 40-minute episode is true. That is how I feel. I still feel that way. And so kind of relative to what you said earlier as well is like, if I can say that and put it out and even 2 people, 3 people are like, wow, like he feels this way, he's felt this way for 10 years, like I'm not the only one. It's okay to want a monogamous relationship. It's not unheard of to want to go to the bars and not do drugs in the bathroom. Like you're not by yourself. There are other people who are doing it. They might just not be saying it. So I appreciate you saying that, because again, it was polarizing and I was very nervous to put it out. I remember, my episodes come out on Wednesday, and I remember Wednesday morning being like petrified a little bit, because I was like, I don't know how people are going to react to this. And overall, the feedback was lovely. But again, you did get those few. And even in those few, sometimes you're like, damn, like, was I judgmental? Like,
right.
Was I being a snob? Like, am I a bitch? Like, what, maybe did I go too hard on this topic? But I still stand by everything I said on that episode.
Yeah, I mean, to me, one, the episode resonated with me and Jhoany, right?
Thank
Which
you.
is why I was like, Steven, we have to get you on the podcast.
Thank you.
And we always talk about it because, one, it's like both of us, I think we've connected, Jhoany and I, like that's why we're best friends, because we're like, no, like we don't have to go all the time, right? Like it's like, no. And if we go out and we just go one bar and we're like, we're done, we're like, yes, we're good. We don't have to go to another one.
Yes.
It's like we don't need to be in the Uber like fucked up. Like that's not, that doesn't make like a great Friday night for us to be like, oh my God, we're so drunk, right? Like no, walking down like back and forth like 9th Avenue, talking about what we're gonna do. No,
it's true.
I'm talking about, I want fucking pizza because we're so drunk. Like, that's not okay.
No.
But I also think something is really important, because you talked about having social anxiety, and just the thought of the conversation made you had social anxiety. And I was like, Steven is speaking to me, because I'm the same person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's situations in which I'm like, no, I just need to be by myself.
Yep. I get my whole body just like reacts. Like it really is like my soul and my body being like, I don't feel comfortable in this situation. And I think I spoke about it on that episode as well, where I talked about going to the Eagle, which, for those who don't know, like Eagle is it's a big bar, and it's almost like a club in New York City. It's got a promiscuous side to it. Like it has a little bit of, crazy things going on. And I was just super, super uncomfortable. And again, in that moment, you feel like, what's wrong with me? There's 250 people here, and I'm the one freaking out in a corner, trembling. Like I'm literally trembling in a corner. I had to get in a cab and go back uptown. Like it was, and I cried. I remember crying. I was like, why do I feel this way? This is insane. But I also now, and I'm sure you might relate as well, is that like it's okay to exit those situations. You don't have to stick around if you feel your body saying that, like it's just not for you, and that's okay.
Yes. And for me, it's like Jhoany and I, what was it, a couple of months ago, we went to Bushwig, which is kind of like, it sounds like Bushwick, but it's Bushwig, and it's like a 2 or 3 day drag festival in, they say Brooklyn, but it's not Brooklyn, it's Queens.
Okay.
And don't nobody go to Queens. Don't nobody go to Queens. Like the people who live in Queens, just the only people who go to Queens.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a big open space. And so I'm like freaking out, because I'm getting real like claustrophobic. We're in the front. And when you go to spaces like that, these folks don't know nothing about personal space.
Right. Oh yeah. Nothing.
It's like
nothing.
And so in my head, I'm like, am I the only one who feels this way?
Right.
Like, is it just me? Like,
so
am I the person who was like crazy that I don't want you on my back right now?
Yeah, it's so true. And I don't need you touching me, and I don't need you rubbing your, like, I don't know you. Like, I couldn't agree more.
I don't understand, because we go to the bars too, and they want to just touch on you because they're drunk, right? So now, like, they have a little bit more courage, right? Liquid courage is a thing.
It's a thing.
So now everybody wants to talk to you, or they're loud, they're falling over the place.
It's
and
true.
I'm like, I don't know you.
I don't know you. Like, leave me alone. Like I'm already nervous enough. I don't need you on top of me,
Right. Like, I don't know you, which is why we only go to select bars, because we know that we're comfortable in that space.
Me too.
So regardless of what happens, we know that we can find a space in this bar because we go here all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Do you guys ever go down to the Village?
Sometimes.
Okay, good. Because there's some good spots there too, where like it's just not, especially with Hell's Kitchen, sometimes it can be so chaotic, and I feel like sometimes down there it's a little more manageable.
Yes. We love hardware because there's two
Hardware's
drag
good.
queens in particular who like we support all the time. They support us. That's
Cute.
Jasmine Kennedy and Izzy Uncut.
Oh yeah,
So we go to them all the time, like on Fridays. And before it was like every Friday they did RuPaul's Drag Race like viewing parties. So
cute.
it just made sense, right?
Yeah.
We're a drag race podcast,
Mm-hmm.
like made sense. And
Yep.
then we go across the street or down the block to Balcone. Like that's it. It
Oh,
just makes it
balcon.
easier.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it.
But Pieces is also another one. It's a really good one too.
Love pieces.
And then Playhouse, but they're
Yeah.
all with the same owner. So like
Yep.
because they're all affiliated, you'll probably see the same like drag queens at the different places.
Yep.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about open relationships, right? Like that you're not into? What is it? What is the whole idea about it?
I mean, a big part of it's probably just the trust. I'm like, all I need is you going over, and what was supposed to be a 30-minute sex session is now like you have feelings and you're texting each other. Like I'm sure that's a big part of it. But to be honest with you, like I just like monogamy. Like I just like the idea that it's you and I. And listen, maybe my mind will change in 10 years. I don't know. Today, I could never be okay with my husband or boyfriend or fiance, whoever, messaging and doing all these other. For me, it's like it's me or nothing. Like I'm not going to be competing with other people. I don't need. My mind is already all over the place. The last thing I need is to wake up uneasy. Where is he? He didn't come home tonight, which means he's with some other. That's too chaotic for me. Like I'm really looking for easy. I'm looking for comfortable. I just can't. I can't get down with it, and I've tried to like it, not so much actually experience it, but like mentally just be like, be more open to it. Don't immediately say no, but it's a pretty solid no for me. Like it's monogamy or nothing. And again, if someone was to ever say to me like, well, that's a deal breaker, well, good, it's a deal breaker for me too. You know what I mean? Like if you want to go on with your bad self, if you want to go do all those things, like you're more than entitled to do that. I'm just not the one that's gonna like wait up at home or even be involved. Like, I had one bad experience, and I'm not going to go in depth with it, but I had one bad experience with two friends who were married, and I ended up having kind of a situation with one of them, and we're good today. Like the three of us are fine today, but it put a pretty big fracture on the friendship immediately. Like I think for me too, to answer your question, is that I have had so many, not just within myself, but friends and people in my life who've gone through it. Never a success story, at least in my life. I'm just speaking to who I know in my social circle. It's always drama. We fought, we broke up, we were supposed to get married, now we're not. And it always points back to it being an open relationship.
Yeah. For me, I have PTSD, right? So I'm with you. I'm not like a believer in open relationships for me, right? It's just, it works for other folks and that's great. But for me, I can't. One, I'm a little selfish.
Me too.
Like I just,
Me too.
like if you're mine, you're mine, right? Like that's how
just
it is.
Mine, 100%.
Like that's it. Because if we wanted to see other people, then we should be able to see other people like not together anymore.
100%.
But also, I just think to me, it's always really interesting because if you look on like the dating apps, right, like the Grinders and the Jacks, right, and the Scrubs of the world, there's always like, oh, we're a couple and we're looking for a third, and I'm just always like, how does this work?
Right. Well, and like, why? Like, why do you need? I don't know. It's just not my thing. It's really not my thing. It's not my vibe.
And then they message me, and I'm just like, no, thank you. Right. And it's like, why? But like, oh, like we trust each other, and I'm just like, yeah, no. Like you trust each other, and that's great. But to me, I feel like if I'm doing this, I'm a homewrecker.
Right. It's true. I can't get on board with it.
So funny, but I feel you, right? So you're not alone in that aspect because
I appreciate that.
I can't do it, like cannot. But that's just our opinions. Whoever out there, if you're into open relationships, like go ahead, like more power to you.
More power.
It's just not. It's not for me.
Not for me. No, not for me either.
So speaking of dating apps, so I was overhearing like these two gays, and I was ear hustling because I'm also nosy. So I was like, and like the eyebrow like raised, and I was like, this is an interesting topic. It is like being over 30 and being on dating apps. So like 30 over 30 on Grindr, like over 30 on like Jack'd or whatever. So what's your take on that?
My gosh. So I think that if you're on dating apps, you have to be in the mindset for a dating app. Like I think a dating app is a whole other job. It really is. You have to keep up with conversation. You have to make sure that you're keeping it flowing and going, and then eventually obviously having to ask for that date. I go through, I don't know, are you on any?
Yes.
Okay. So I go through waves. So I will literally be like get me out of here. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too much. Or I'm the other complete opposite where I'm on like 3 at a time. So right now I have Tinder, Hinge, and Raya. And it's overwhelming. It really is just overwhelming. And I'm not going to turn them off yet because I do think that I'm getting to that point of wanting a relationship. Like I definitely am getting there for sure, of like ready to be with somebody, no question. But it's a lot to keep up with all those messages. It just is. Like I'm really getting overwhelmed, and I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, maybe it's time to, but see, I don't just like pause them. I delete completely. Like I literally just completely turn off my apps because it's just too much. And so I think that I say it's good because I'd rather meet somebody on an app than at the bar, but you really have to be mentally ready for it.
True. I agree. I'm the same way. I don't delete them like completely. No, I lied. Like Grindr, like I delete all the time. Like I'm just like, I just cannot.
Yep.
But then I'm like, when you go back on it and you don't, like, you get the basic subscription and you really can't do anything with that, and so it makes you want to pay for it, and it's like, damn it. I'm like, damn, because that's when you get more options. And so I'm like, damn it. And so I find myself going back to it. I'm like, fine, whatever. I said I use Scruff because like I'm in my daddy era right now, and so
I've never had Scruff.
Yeah, I mean, Scruff is like, it's more of like, I don't know. It's supposed to be for like muscular, like scruffy, like the daddy ones, but there's so many people on there. Like it's changed. Like Grindr has changed, Scruff has changed, all these apps have changed, and so it's just like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't think there should be like an age like thing to say that you have to be a certain age in order to be on these apps, and you cannot be like a certain age on this app.
No, yeah, I think age is, it doesn't, that part I don't think matters. I just think that you have to like really be ready for it.
Yes. Even though, I mean, this may be a controversial hot take, but I don't think that you should be like 65 and like 70 or like on Grindr. That's just me.
I think I would agree with that.
I think that's a little like weird.
I would agree with that as well.
We get to a point where it's like, whoa.
Too much.
Yes, triggered. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, this is not. So speaking of, this is my last thing, but like speaking of Grindr, I was like on Instagram and I saw that Grindr has like a Unwrapped, or like, you know how Spotify has like Spotify Unwrapped for like the 2024.
Yes.
I didn't know Grindr has that, but apparently it does, and I was like, this is weird. Like, what do you do?
But Unwrapped, what? Like, what does it do?
Right. So I guess it ranks like the top like,
guys you're going for.
Or like just no. I think it does it as the company as a whole. Like here, like the top categories were like bottoms, or top categories was like tops.
Okay.
And so apparently the position of the year was missionary.
Interesting.
I know.
That's really interesting.
I know. I don't know how many people like missionary, because I'm just like, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Like, I don't like missionary because I have intimacy issues. I talked about this on the first episode. It was all about us, and I said I don't need to see your face. And and missionary is so intimate, like to me.
Yeah.
And like this is a problem.
That's true.
And Jhoany, we're back. Now we can't hear you. See, that's why I don't pay attention. See, anyways. So they said Mother of the Year. Which I was confused about this, because I was like, what kind of like, how do we categorize like mother? How do we say this? And it was Charlie XCX.
Good for her.
I guess it was a Brat Summer for real.
Yeah, people love her. I mean, I like her a lot. I don't think that I got on to like the whole Brat thing. Like I like her a lot. I think she's great. I don't know that I would go to her concert just because I'm not her biggest like whatever fan. But are you a big Charlie person?
I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not. So
that's how I am too.
Yeah, like I'm not. I'm not a fan of Charlie. I mean, there's a few songs that I'm like, oh, these are cute.
Sure.
Not really a fan of like Chaperone either. Like, I think she's very problematic, and she bothers me. So
I agree. I 100% agree. Yeah, they're fine. Like some of them have good bops, but I'm not like a diehard.
Right. Well, Stephen, that's all I have.
Okay.
That was the group chat for today. So
that was incredible. Wait, I loved it. It was so much fun. Thank you for having me. I'm so sorry that he can't come on again.
It's totally fine. We just now need to go to your podcast now, right?
No,
like,
please.
That's what we do.
Yes, I want to plan that, because I think it would be so fun to have you guys on. So we'll make that happen.
Yes. But yeah, so we call all of our viewers and our listeners their friends, but not like with the normal spelling of friends. It's FREN. Like, hey friend.
Friend.
Yes.
I like it.
And so anytime we interview someone, and it's like you're now a part of the group chat.
I'm here for it. I love it.
So, and then if like the people who continue to support us, whatever, then they become besties.
Love.
So,
We're here for it.
yeah, because
I'm
obviously Jhoany and I are like besties.
right.
So
I'm
that's
gonna
why.
aim to be a bestie. I love that.
Yes, right. Aim to be a bestie.
Yes.
You are our first group chat member,
It's
so
been an honor, truly.
super excited for that.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait for everyone to be able to see this episode and to really enjoy it.
I'm
But
so excited.
just if you're listening to us on any of the like Spotify or iHeart podcasts, please make sure that you rate us 5 stars. And as always, we'll have you saying no ma'am in no time. Oh, and please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video because it's super important. Otherwise, bye everyone.